Hey, Kevin here, top 100 financial advisor, two-time author, one-time bestseller, and we are here to talk about the stock market. I had a very amazing conversation with Sandy and others on Clubhouse earlier today. Yes, I'm on Clubhouse. I don't know why. I'm just here. um, but I will be on there a lot more. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. But we discussed a lot of what we think is going to happen in 2021, what stocks we like, what stocks we don't like, what stocks made us the most money, and what stocks we lost money on. So it was a great conversation. But one thing came up that I want to discuss in terms of when to sell a stock and why. And the problem that I see a lot of new investors run into when it comes to selling a stock and the questions we have in our head about, like, should we sell now? Should I sell later? What should I do? So I want to get into that. Before we do, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button, do all the housekeeping things, hit the share button. I want to try and get to like 8 shares. 8 shares ain't a lot. It's really not. So make sure that you hit that. That like makes me feel good. So make sure you do that and ask any questions that you may have. Also, one other thing, and this is really special. If you're watching this, you are learning this now before my email list gets this, and this is huge. So I have collaborated with 4 investing experts, some of my favorite people in the investing space, to create the 2021 Investing Yearbook. The reason I call it a yearbook, because one, I think it's cool, but we call it the yearbook because, for example, one category is the stock for the best long-term relationship. So we all sit down, we all pick our own stocks independently and say, look, this is the company I would think will do well from now for the next 5, 10, 15 years. What stocks are the best that nobody is talking about? What are the top 5 stocks for new investors? What are the best apps? All of those questions and more is inside the Investor's Yearbook. If you are watching this video, the link should be above at buildingbread.com/2021. Here's the other thing. It is only $49. So you want to hop on this now. It will not be available for forever. I think after like January 21st or so, you're not going to see it no more. So you want to go ahead and get on that right now. Pause the video if you have to, click the link, get in there and get in the right position for 2021, because I want to make sure, like, my chief job here, why I'm here Monday through Friday, why I do what I do for really the last 10 years, is make sure that you can invest with confidence and not confusion. I want to give you easy, simple to follow tips, tools, tricks to really help reduce the fear and introduce financial freedom. Like, that's what I'm here for at the end of the day. All right. Now, I've done the commercials, we did the housekeeping, you shared the video, you've clicked the link, you've already started, and you got the 2021 Investing Yearbook. Let's go ahead and get started. So, in our discussion that we had today, we talked about selling a stock, and Sandy talked about how she had a price target, which I thought was really interesting, and it actually makes sense for her strategy. So, for example, you get in Amazon at 1,000, it hits 1,500, boom, you made your $500. That was your price target. You take your money, you go, and you go find something else. You guys know my strategy is I have a time target. Now, you want to have a target. I tend, and clearly I'm biased because it's me, but I feel a time target is easier, simpler, and a little more productive than a price target. But there are benefits. There are pros and cons to either one. So let's talk about those and talk about, like, what's the problem that a lot of new investors fall into. So number one, the problem with a price target. Let's start with the good things. The good thing about having a price target is you're not guaranteed because you don't know if the stock goes up. But if the stock hits that, you're walking away with a defined profit, and you are able to say, look, I've made my $500. I didn't lose any money. I can take my 500 and do whatever it is you want to do with it. So you're getting in, you're getting what you need, and you are leaving before things get worse. Now, the downside is, what if things get way better than what they are now? Do you come back and jump back in when it's even more expensive, or do you just watch as the train passes? That really depends, right? So, for example, Sandy brought up an example where I think she sold out of Amazon when it was at 1,500. Now Amazon is well above 3,000. Well, what do you do with that, right? Like, in that case, you just let that train go by. I'm prideful, which is probably not the best thing in the world. I usually keep these things out of my investing strategy. But, like, if I bought in at 1,500, do I really want to come back and buy the same thing at 3,000 when I could have just had it? You never know. But the thing is, with Sandy's strategy, she didn't lose. Like there's a difference between the pain of not getting what you thought you should have got, even though you still won. You still made your $500, your $1,000, whatever it was. So I would rather take a guaranteed profit that I already have than hope that I would have done X, Y, and Z. So there's a cost benefit analysis there. Do you want to make sure that you are getting what you want to get out of this stock and saying I got my money, I'm good, or hope that it continues to go? Because the problem is, back when she had it, or back when anybody had it back then, I would not have thought, and I've said this before, I never thought Amazon would be at 3,000, which is why I invested in it when I had the opportunity. I wish I had gotten back in at 1,500, but I didn't. Now it's at 3,000. I got in at 2,000 something, which is great for me, but I'm gonna just hold on and come all the way back to my time target. So on the opposite side of the spectrum is the time target that we always talk about. Wait a year, wait 6 months, whatever works for you, come back and reevaluate. Now, the good thing is by doing that, I'm not really concerned about price. So if it keeps hitting the target over and over and over again, I get to hold it for the long term. Apple is a good example for me. Microsoft, I've had those for years now, or Microsoft I know I've had for years. I don't know how long I've had Apple. I don't know. Maybe it's been years. I don't know. But I'm able to just let it ride. If it keeps going, it keeps going. If it doesn't, we cut our ties. We come back when things are a bit better. So that's great for me. On the opposite end, the downside of this strategy is if it loses and it doesn't do well, then it's gonna fall for 6 months until I get rid of it, which I mean, that's a part of the strategy. Either way, there are pros and cons to either side. You have to pick what's best for you. Now, what you may be thinking right now is, I don't want to lose money for 6 months. What if I turn around and it goes down to zero? What if I lose 80 or 90%? That's not going to happen. At least the way I invest. And the reason why that's not going to happen is, number one, you want to make sure that you're investing in quality companies. It is extremely, extremely rare that you see a company like a Walmart, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon lose 89% in just 6 months. Now it happens to companies like, I don't know, Kodak, Neo, Nikola, all of these shady companies that people don't know about. They don't have a long history. They don't have strong financial performance. You haven't seen them. You don't know what they do. That happens to those companies all the time. Ask Hertz what happened to them earlier this summer. So it does happen to penny stocks. It happens to them all the time, which is why I tell y'all I don't invest in anything that's below $5 or below. If it's a $5 stock, forget it. I ain't doing it. No. Right? So we always leave those off the table. That's why I invest in only the best quality companies and ETFs that we know have good diversification, a great history behind them, and backing and evidence that they have done something for years. Is why in most cases I don't do IPOs either, because we know, look at GoPro, right? We always look at Zoom. Zoom did great for Zoom, but then you look at something like GoPro that's absolutely been a disaster since the day that it started, I don't know, 2014 or 2015. It's why I say, look, I understand that I may have missed out on Zoom. I understand that I avoided something like GoPro. I'm going to go with what I know works, what I can sleep with and wake up and know that in 6 months, it ain't going to go bankrupt. Now, on the opposite end, and we talked about this the other day about the list that we had, our watch list, we lost some money on some. I think it was like Equinix was down, 2% or something like that. That's fine. A 2% loss when you're making 30% on Dollar General or 35% in a Walmart or something like that, that's fine. You're not going to be perfect, but you do want to invest in things that you know are still going to be there. So that's how I do it. That's my process. And then Sandy has hers. Either one works, but there are always benefits and drawbacks to each one. So the problem that you want to avoid and the problem that you want to be able to solve is when you are selling. Actually, you want to do this before you sell. To solve this issue, before you sell, you need to understand how you're going to be as an investor. What is your philosophy or your target? Are you getting into this to make X amount of dollars? If it is, you need to write it down and have that in stone. What you don't want to do is say, oh, I'm getting into this so I can make $500, and then you get into like, all right, well, I'm gonna just get out now because it didn't do what I wanted to do. You need to have that defined target, and whatever it is, 6 months, 12 months, $500, $600, whatever it is. The other semi downside is, how do you know what price target to set? That depends. That really depends on the company. If you told me you're trying to make $500 off of Amazon, well, yeah, you could probably do that. You definitely probably do it on Tesla in a time like now. But if you told me you're trying to make, I don't know, $1,000 at Walmart, I don't know. It might be a while. So that's a somewhat of a drawback because every company grows differently. So it's hard to say how much you're trying to make, and it depends on how much money you're putting in. If you're using a time method like me, it really doesn't matter. If I put in 200, 6 months is your time frame. You on the clock. If it's $10,000, same time frame, same clock. But if you're having a price target, if I'm putting $10,000 into something, bro, I better get more than $500 out of it. So that's the thing you want to pay attention to as well. So first, who are you as an investor is why we talk about an investor's toolkit. Number two, what philosophy do you want to follow, and you need to stick to that. From there, that's how you know whether it's the time to sell or to let something go. And then lastly, you got to invest in quality companies. You got to. The good thing is everything inside the 2021 Investors Yearbook, they're all quality companies. So I've looked at them. I'm like, man, I did not think of that. That was a good idea. I also showed it to my sister. She's like, damn, these some good people in here. So you want to make sure you check it out. It's only $49. That link will be above. I think it's only going to be available for the first, I would say, 20 to 25 days of January. So I'm letting you know now, before it hits the email list and before it gets super, super popular. So make sure you get in now. Make sure you do your research, see what you like, and let me know. If you get the workbook, let me know in the comments. I got it. This is what I really liked about it. Let me know what you thought about the video. What do you do before you sell? What are the things that you're looking for when you're ready to sell a stock? All right. So I'll be waiting for y'all questions and comments in the comments. Yeah. So let me know what you think. I'll talk to y'all later.